Good to see all of you here today. I'd like to begin by reading something to you. Shelley, would you put up the first slide here? This is. Let me just read it to you. It's a poem. It's a song. It's chorus to a song. I want peace. It's where I am now. It's the only thing I haven't found somehow. There are other places. There are a million pretty faces, but I want peace. It's where I am now. That's a chorus to a song by a guy by the name of Ben Rector, and this is the second sermon in a kind of a funky series. I didn't see this one coming. My daughter Kirsten put me up to this, and she said, you got to do this. This guy is really amazing, and she's absolutely right. I'm glad we're heading in this direction. Ben Rector is a Christian, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago, but he's not a Christian artist. But what he does with his music, it's just his Christianity permeates the music. And so when he talks about experiences in life and the people that he's met, he does so in a way, he notices all these small things in life, and he finds in those things the eternal. So, again, welcome everyone. I'm glad that you all are here. I'm glad that you folks are with us as well. My name is Dave. You guys know that. They may not. I'm pastor here at First Lutheran in Algona, a little church in north central Iowa in a small community. And it's good to be here with you, and it's good to be here being the church. It's good to see so many faces. It's been a while since we've had a full church, and we're getting closer, aren't we? That's good. That's good. So I'm hoping that when we get back to the Wednesday schedule in the fall with the learning, that will increase the numbers even more. That said, if you are uncomfortable coming, you can watch online and you can worship online. I just also know that the experience of worship, being together as the family of God, is just such a big part of how that transforms us. And so we are having coffee afterwards. If you're out there and you happen to be in the neighborhood, stop by. We're going to be outside. You can social distance if you're comfortable doing that. And if not, that's fine too. And in the next week or two, would like to start singing in church with Adam and the rest of them. And I sent out a pastoral letter. I hope you've seen that. If you haven't, I would like you to take a look at it. If you come and you want to sing, I'd like you to bring a face mask. That way we can make sure that we're safe doing that. I got that advice from my dear friend Adam, who is doing the same thing with his choirs at Algona High. So it's good to be back. We were gone last week, and by the way, if you've not heard the sermon, go take a listen. It's one of those sermons that will walk with you for days. But Jill and I were gone. We were, while you were here having church, we were in northwest Montana. It was Jill's birthday, and it was a big birthday. It was one of those birthdays that ends in a 0, okay? And so the last time she had a birthday that ended in a 0, I planned and executed a surprise party. Since that time, I've grown up a little bit. And this time I thought, that's kind of silliness. Let's just go someplace and do something I knew that she would like to do. And so I started this as a surprise. Okay, I got to put it up here. Is that better? All right. Just keep doing this. I'll do it. All right. So my microphone technique is really terrible there. Okay, so we're going to Northwest Montana because I want to do something that I knew she would like, and I also knew that would involve horses. She loves horses, and she wanted a horseback ride. She always wants to horseback ride, and we get so few chances. Now, for me personally, I could take them or leave them, or at least so I thought. I felt that way until we pulled into the Bear Creek Guest Ranch, just south of the national park there, Glacier National Park. And we met Bill and Diana Beck, and they in turn introduced me to Freckles. Shelley, would you put up a picture of Freckles? There's Freckles right there. And I've done a few trail rides. I've been around horses a little bit, and every one of those trail rides, they were all, if you know anything about horses, nose to tail, you know what I'm talking about. And the horse was as brain dead as the people that the horse was carrying. This was different. Very different. Freckles was sensitive and is smart and just a little bit independent. And then we had this clinic. Bill put on a horse clinic. And since that time, I've found that horse clinics are kind of big things for people that ride horses because they spend a lifetime learning horses. Well, this was my first experience in such a thing. And so Bill went through his clinic, and I sat Freckles. And you can show him the next picture if you want. This is me sitting Freckles. Yep, there it is. I'm sitting Freckles. Notice the cowboy hat. I was really out of my element. It's an element that I'm starting to grow into now. So I sat Freckles, and we started to get acquainted, which is really something because we don't speak the same language, not at all. So what that meant was, little by little, we just had to sort of get to know each other. And, by the end of the clinic, we had a pretty good start. I'll give you, for instance, and I didn't know this, but simply by the amount of pressure I put between my thighs and the way it would just ever so slightly press against his sides, he knew that I wanted him to go faster. Isn't that something? And you know what? Bill didn't tell me that in the clinic. I just squeezed once because I was about to fall off. And I found that out, and he took off, and I let go and pulled the reins back just a little bit. And he slowed down. And then we just sort of figured it out. It was like this ballet dance that we were doing between the two of us. And we were stepping on each other's feet, but at the same time we were learning each other. And that's just one example of what happened. And we got pretty good at it, at least a start on it. And no, I will tell you that our learning the language was not perfect at all. But every once in a while at the clinic, and then the next day on the 12-mile trail ride, I could feel it. The two of us were a single thing. And I just didn't sit on the saddle. I sat Freckles, a verb. And we became one. And here's the really interesting part. I didn't see this one coming at all. But having that happen, being in the moment with Freckles, and becoming one with this other creature changed me in ways that I didn't expect. And it brought not just satisfaction. Oh, there we are. That's how we got to know each other as well. It brought not just satisfaction, but it brought a peace to my soul. It's a horse. And yet being in the moment with that horse, just the two of us, and becoming a single thing was something other than just me. It brought me to a place where I was experiencing eternal things. A horse. I didn't see that one coming. Adam?
his children. The Lord said he would be. It doesn't take very many. It can be just 2 or 3. And I feel that same sweet spirit that I felt of times before. Surely I can say I've been with the Lord. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel his mighty power and his grace. I can feel the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
You know how to pick music too. Thanks. So, I thought about all this as I thought about what I was going to say to you today, especially just given the events of the last few months and really even the last week. It just keeps coming at me. Because the thing I'm finding more and more, especially now, that the thing that we most desire in life, a peace, as it says, Paul says, a peace that passes all human understanding, is also the thing in our lives, especially now for some reason, that is most elusive. I mean, it just keeps coming at me. One person after the next, one situation after the next. COVID. And I know you're probably tired of hearing about it, but, you know, I thought I was going to stop talking about it a month ago, but it still comes at me. Business owners who are wondering if they can keep their doors open. At school, teachers who are making different plans every day because the ground beneath their feet shifts like so much loose gravel. People without a paycheck and wondering how in the world they're going to make it. All of them thinking about where they've been and if they could have made a different decision that would have put them in a different place. All of them anxious about what tomorrow holds. That thing called peace, that thing that we so desire, has now more than ever become something that is so elusive. And you know, it's not just COVID, it's everything else. Couple all of that with the way our country is quite literally burning, and the divisive spirit, it just permeates every part of our world and nearly every one of our relationships. Put those two things together, and it's even more elusive. And so that's what led me to the lesson that Karen just read, and why I wanted her to read it to you, because it's what Jesus is talking about. And just a little background here, this is Matthew chapter 6. Matthew 5 to Matthew 7, I believe it is something called the Sermon on the Mount. And Jesus goes up the side of this mountain, and he has all of these people who are following him. And he sits down. He doesn't stand in a pulpit like I'm doing. Well, I'm not in a pulpit, I guess, but he doesn't stand over them. He sits with them and among them, and they sit around him, and he begins to teach them. And among other things, he talks about peace. He talks about all of those things that rob us of peace. He talks about the past and the way we have so many regrets. talks about the future, especially in this passage, and all the anxiety that the future brings. And he says that there's something in the middle, something called peace. And I will tell you, the people to whom he's speaking are very much like you and me. They live in a world where there's very little peace. They live in a world where there is all kinds of past, and in a world that has created all kinds of anxiety because they don't know what the future is going to bring. I could spend an hour talking about that situation. Just hear me when I say their situation is not unlike ours at all. And so Jesus knows that. Do not be anxious about anything. Do not let your hearts be troubled, he says in another place. And really, if you take a look at this passage, there's really two things that I want you to remember. And it's the same two things, believe it or not, that Freckles and I learned last week. Right? The first is this. Read the passage carefully. Jesus talks about staying in the moment, staying in the here and staying in the now. Not worrying about what has happened, not staying in those regrets, not looking forward in terms of this life and being anxious, but being right here, right now. I'm going to mix a lot of metaphors here today, and here comes another one. It's something I heard a long time ago, but it struck me again this week. It's sort of like standing at the edge of the ocean, and past, present, future. And you're looking out across this vast sea, and behind you is a sand beach. That's the past. And ahead of you is this ocean. And that's the future. And the place where the past and the future meet, that's the present. And because of the waves washing up upon the shore, it's always changing. It's always moving. It's just a thin line that snakes its way between the past and the future. Of the three, that thin line looks the most fragile and uncertain. I mean, the beach is as real can be. And the ocean, oh my goodness, it goes on forever. The future is this thin line that keeps changing. Of the three, that one looks the most uncertain. Of the three, that's the only one that is most real. And Jesus tells us to stay there. It's a tough thing to do. Stay there. What's happened is behind you. You can't change it. What's ahead of you is ahead of you, and you can't control it. Walk the line, Jesus says. Stay here in the now, in the moment. Check the scriptures. Check his sermon. He's talking about it all the time. So that's the first insight that Jesus in Freckles gives us. The second is this. And again, when you get home, take a look at your Bibles. Take a look at Matthew chapter 6. Start with verse 24. Because what you will find in terms of combating anxiety is that God is always there. Always. He sees the birds of the air, it says. And think of how much more important you are. He clothes the lilies of the field in ways that puts Solomon to shame. think of how much more he cares for you. He loves you. He sees you. And that he knows everything that you need. And so what I want you to do, what Jesus wants you to do, is settle into that saddle. Become a single thing with the God of all creation. Because it doesn't matter what it is you're facing. He will carry you. And the two of you, as you become one, as you live in that moment, first of all, and as the two of you become a single thing, you will know the eternal things of life and hope and peace. I'm telling you these things, not because I've got it all down myself. No. I'm a mess just like the rest of you, just like everyone else. I can't get my head out of the past. I look ahead to the future, and I worry about it. And Jesus calls me back, just like he does you. Walk the line. Stay in the moment. Settle into the saddle. Become a single thing with me. Adam.
There's a holy hush around us as God's glory fills this place. I've touched the hem of his garment. I can almost see his face, and my heart is overflowing with the fullness of his of his joy. I know without a doubt that I've been with the Lord. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel his mighty power and his grace. I can feel the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Okay, so back to Ben. And this song that I'm going to have you listen to in just a minute, but let me just say this, a good share of the song is about all the ways we try to look for peace and all the ways those things are traps. We look to people and we try to please people, and it's a trap. We accumulate things, thinking that the things are going to satisfy our souls. We live in the past. And not in a good way. We're worried about the future and not a good way. And all of that, Ben says, is just empty stuff. It's just not going to give you the peace that you're so looking for. So listen to the song and read the words. Read them carefully. Shall I?
Used to want people to love me, so I learned how to sing. Then I thought I wanted money, so I could buy a nice thing. And when I found it, was as empty as could be. And now I'm staring at my face above a bathroom sink, saying I want peace, it's where I am now. It's the only thing I haven't found somehow. There are other places, there are a million pretty faces, but I want peace, it's where I am now. I used to worry about the future, but the future never came. Tried living in the past, but never did quite feel the same. I used to think that there was a place I would rather be, till I got there enough times to realize that you are only ever here. That's when I found peace, with where I am now. It's the only place I'll ever be. I found there are other places filled with a million pretty faces, but I found peace with where I am now. Through the ups and downs, I have figured out you find peace where you make it. Scenery won't change it. And I wasted so much time thinking I could ever find enough of anything that would bring me peace. So I found peace with who I am now. It's the only me I'll ever be. I found there are other places, there are a million other faces. I found peace with who I am now.
So let me leave you with a question. Where do you find yourself? Are you looking in all the wrong places? And are you finding that this thing you so desire is completely elusive? If so, I want to point you to a horse named Freckles, a singer named Ben, and a Savior called Jesus, who each in their own way call you to walk the line, stay in the moment, and settle into the saddle so that you might become a single thing with the one who loves you, who cares about you, and will always, always provide everything you need. Let not your